I sat on the CEO's desk like I owned the place, legs crossed, iced coffee in one hand, phone in the other. I didn't know three alpha kings were watching from the shadows. I didn't know. I just walked into a throne room. And I definitely didn't know that in 30 seconds, my entire life would shatter and rebuild itself around three men I'd never even met. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start with the moment I realized I'd made the biggest mistake of my 23 years on this planet. My name is Kai Brennan, and up until this morning, I thought I was a beta. The kind of guy who blends into crowds and doesn't set off anyone's instincts. I'd been taking suppressants since I was 16. Little white pills that kept my scent flat, my body calm, my life manageable. I liked it that way. No drama, no heats, no alphas circling me like I was something to claim. I just landed a job as an executive assistant at Sterling Wolf Industries, one of the biggest luxury real estate empires in Manhattan. The pay was insane. The building was all glass and steel, 47 floors of power and wealth. I was supposed to report to the executive floor at 9 sharp. I was 15 minutes early. That should have been my first clue that today wasn't going to go the way I planned. The elevator doors opened on the 47th floor, and I stepped into a world that smelled like leather, expensive cologne, and something else, something darker, heavier. My stomach tightened, but I ignored it. First day nerves, that's all. The reception desk was empty. The hallways were silent except for the hum of the air conditioning and the faint buzz of the city below. I checked my phone. The email had said to wait in the executive suite, third door on the left. I found it. The door was cracked open, golden light spilling into the hallway. I knocked once, twice. No answer. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The office was massive. Floor to ceiling, windows overlooking Central Park. A sleek black desk in the center, polished to a mirror shine. Bookshelves lined one wall, and a leather couch sat in the corner, the kind that probably cost more than my rent for a year. And the desk. God, that desk looked like it was begging someone to sit on it. So I did. I hopped up, set my coffee down beside me, and crossed my legs. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my messages, waiting for someone to show up and tell me what to do. That's when I felt it. A prickle at the back of my neck. The kind of sensation that makes your skin tighten and your pulse stutter. The kind that says you're being watched. I looked up, and that's when I saw them. Three men stood in the shadows near the bookshelves, so still I hadn't even noticed them when I walked in. They weren't moving. They weren't speaking. They were just watching me. My heart slammed against my ribs. The first one stepped forward into the light, and I forgot how to breathe. He was tall, at least 6'3", with dark hair swept back from a face that looked like it had been carved from marble. Sharp jaw. Cold gray eyes that pinned me in place like a butterfly under glass. He wore a black suit that fit him like a second skin, and when he moved, it was with the kind of controlled grace that made you think of predators. "You must be the new assistant," he said. His voice was low, smooth, and completely devoid of warmth. I nodded, because my throat had gone dry. Seton, the second man, moved next, and he was the opposite of the first. Lighter hair, a knee day, possible of litter of there, styled in a way that looked effortlessly messy. A grin tugged at the corner of his mouth, sharp and dangerous, like he knew a secret I didn't. His eyes were a bright, startling blue, and they dragged over me slowly, deliberately. "Comfortable?" he asked, nodding toward the desk I was sitting on. My face went hot. I slid off the desk so fast I nearly knocked over my coffee. Sorry, I didn't think anyone was." "Relax," he said, still grinning. "I'm Dante Ashford, COO. That's Grayson Wolf, CEO." He gestured to the first man, who hadn't moved an inch. "And the quiet one over there is Elias Kane, CFO." The third man finally stepped into the light, and my stomach dropped. He was broader than the other two, built like he could break someone in half without breaking a sweat. Dark eyes, darker hair, and a jawline that could cut stone. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He just looked at me, and I felt like he was cataloging every detail, every breath, every heartbeat, every flicker of panic in my chest. "Kai Brennan," I managed, and my voice came out steadier than I expected. "I'm your new assistant. I start today." "We know." Grayson said. Something in the way he said it made my skin prickle again. Dante's grin widened. You're early. We like that. Sit, Grayson said, gesturing to one of the chairs in front of the desk. I sat. The three of them didn't move. They stood in a loose semicircle around me, and I suddenly felt very small, very exposed, and very aware that something was wrong. Do you know why we hired you, Kai? Dante asked, leaning against the edge of the desk. He was close now, close enough that I could smell him. Cedar and smoke and something wild underneath. I shook my head. Because my resume was good? Elias made a sound that might have been a laugh, but it was so quiet I wasn't sure. Dante tilted his head, studying me. Your resume was fine, but that's not why you're here. My pulse kicked up. Then why am I here? Grayson's eyes narrowed, and for the first time, I saw something flicker in them, something that looked almost like hunger. Because, he said slowly, we've been looking for you for a very long time. The air left my lungs. What? Your scent, Elias said, and his voice was deep, rough, like gravel dragged over silk. It's different. I laughed, but it came out shaky. I don't have a scent. I'm a beta. I've been on suppressants since I was 16. You think you're a beta, Dante said softly. But you're not. The room tilted. What are you talking about? Grayson stepped closer, and I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. When was the last time you took your suppressant? I blinked. This morning? I take one every morning. Oh, stay. And before that? Yesterday? Why does it matter? Because, Grayson said, his voice dropping to something that felt like a growl. Your suppressants are failing. The words hit me like a punch to the chest. That's not possible. It's already happening, Dante said, his grin fading. We can smell it. You're not a beta, Kai. You're an omega. My hands started shaking. No, that's not. And not just any omega, Elias said, his dark eyes locked on mine. Grayson leaned down, his face inches from mine, and I froze. You're ours. The word ours hung in the air between us, heavy and impossible. I jerked back in the chair, my spine hitting the leather hard enough to hurt. I'm not. That's insane. You can't just... Can't what? Dante asked, and there was something dangerous in his voice now. Something that made the hairs on my arms stand up. Can't tell you the truth? Can't recognize our own mate when he walks through the door and sits on our desk like he belongs there? I don't belong to anyone. I snapped, and my hands curled into fists on my lap. My heart was racing so fast I thought it might burst out of my chest. I'm a beta. I've always been a beta. You're wrong. Grayson straightened, putting a few inches of distance between us, but his eyes never left mine. When did you start taking suppressants? I told you. When I was 16. Who prescribed them? A doctor. A clinic in Brooklyn. What clinic? Elias's voice cut through, sharp and demanding. I stared at him. He still hadn't moved from his spot near the bookshelf, but something about his stillness felt coiled, like he was holding himself back from something. I don't remember the name. It was years ago. My mom took me after I stopped. After you what? Grayson asked softly. My throat tightened. After I got sick. I had these episodes, fevers, dizziness. My mom thought I had some kind of hormonal imbalance, so she took me to a specialist. They gave me suppressants and told me to take them every day. They said it would help. Every day have to have a janam. Help with what? Dante leaned forward, his blue eyes locked on mine. Help suppress your heats? Help hide what you really are? I don't have heats, I said, but my voice cracked. I've never had a heat. I'm not. Because you've been drugged for 7 years, Grayson said, and there was something almost gentle in his tone now, something that made my chest ache. Someone convinced you that you were broken, that you needed to be fixed. But you were never broken, Kai. You were just hidden. I shook my head. No, this doesn't make sense. If I were an omega, I would have known. I would have felt it. You did feel it, Elias said, and his voice was so quiet I almost didn't hear him. You've been feeling it your whole life. The way your body never felt quite right. That wasn't sickness, Kai. That was your body trying to present, trying to break through the suppressants. My hands were shaking now. I pressed them flat against my thighs, but I couldn't stop the tremor. Even if that's true, and I'm not saying it is, why would you care? Why would you, Don? Because you're ours, Dante said again. And this time, there was no teasing in his voice. We've been looking for you for 3 years. The room spun. What? Grayson exchanged a glance with Elias, and something passed between them, some silent conversation I wasn't part of. Then he looked back at me, and his expression was unreadable. We're a triad pack. The 3 of us bonded 5 years ago. It's rare, but it happens. 3 alphas, 1 bond. And 1 mate, Dante added. Eventually, if we're lucky. We caught your scent 3 years ago, Elias said. At a cafe in Brooklyn. You were sitting by the window, reading. We walked past, and he stopped, his jaw tightening. It was like the world stopped. Like everything we'd been searching for was right there, 10 feet away. My breath hitched. I don't remember. Do. I'm. You wouldn't, Grayson said. We didn't approach you. You were young, clearly on suppressants. We didn't want to scare you, so we waited, Dante said. We hired investigators. We tracked you. We made sure you were safe. My voice broke. You stalked me? We protected you, Elias corrected, and his tone left no room for argument. There are alphas out there who would have smelled what you are, suppressants or not. Alphas who wouldn't have waited, who wouldn't have cared if you were ready. And you're different? I shot back, anger flaring hot in my chest. You hired me under false pretenses. You've been watching me for 3 years without my knowledge. You think that makes you the good guys? Dante's grin came back, sharp and unapologetic. Never said we were good, sweetheart. Just said we're yours. I stood up so fast the chair nearly tipped over. I need to leave. Sit down, Grayson said, and it wasn't a request. Something in his voice, something low and commanding, made my knees weak. I hated it. I hated the way my body wanted to obey, the way every instinct I didn't know I had was screaming at me to listen to him. I stayed standing. Barely. You can't keep me here. We're not keeping you here, Elias said. But if you walk out that door right now, you're going to collapse before you reach the elevator. What? Your suppressants are failing, Grayson said. And when they fail completely, and they will, probably within the next few hours, you're going to go into your first heat. Here, alone, surrounded by a building full of alphas who won't give a damn if you want their help or not. The words hit me like ice water. You're lying. Am I? Dante stood, and suddenly, he was close, too close. I could feel the heat of him, the solidness of his presence. Tell me you don't feel it, Kai. Tell me your skin doesn't feel too tight. Tell me you're not burning up inside. I opened my mouth to deny it, but I couldn't, because he was right. I'd been feeling off all morning. Feverish, restless. I'd blamed it on nerves, on the new job, on anything except the truth that was now staring me in the face. I can't. My voice broke. I can't do this. I don't even know you. You will, Grayson said. And there was a promise in his voice that made my stomach flip. You'll know us. You'll trust us. And when you're ready, you'll let us claim you. And if I'm never ready, silence. Dante's grin faded. Elias's jaw tightened. Grayson's eyes darkened. Then we wait, Grayson said finally. We've waited 3 years. We'll wait 3 more if we have to. But we're not letting you go, Elias added. Not now. Not when you're this close to breaking. It is actually have a pure case. I wanted to argue. I wanted to scream at them, to tell them they had no right to decide my life for me. But the room was tilting again, and my legs were shaking, and I could feel something hot and terrifying rising inside me, something I'd been suppressing for 7 years without even knowing it. Kai, Dante said softly, and his hand reached out not to grab me, but to steady me. Let us help. I looked at his hand, then at Grayson, then at Elias. 3 alphas. 3 strangers. 3 men who claimed I was theirs. And the worst part? The absolute worst part? Some twisted, broken part of me wanted to believe them. I hate you, I whispered. Dante's grin came back, softer this time. Yeah, we know. Huh. Allerjong, Dante's nature. Dante's hand was still extended between us, steady and patient. I stared at it like it was a trap. Like the moment I touched him, something irreversible would happen. Something I couldn't take back. I don't need your help, I said, but my voice was too thin. Then prove it, Grayson said from behind me. Walk to the door. I turned to look at him, and the movement made the room tilt sideways. My vision blurred at the edges. Heat crawled up my spine, spreading through my chest, my throat, my face. It felt like I was burning from the inside out. Kai! Elias's voice cut through the haze, low and commanding. Sit down before you fall down. I'm fine. I lied, but my knees buckled. Dante caught me before I hit the floor. His hands were on my arms, firm and warm, and the moment he touched me, something inside me cracked wide open. A gasp tore out of my throat, not from pain, but from the sheer intensity of it. His scent hit me like a wave. Cedar and smoke and something wild and intoxicating that made my head spin. Easy, he murmured, his voice soft against my ear. I've got you. Let go, I said, but I didn't pull away. I couldn't. My body was betraying me, leaning into him, craving the solid warmth of him like it was the only thing keeping me upright. Not a chance, Dante said, and there was something almost tender in his tone. He guided me back to the chair, his hands never leaving me, and I hated how much I wanted them to stay. Grayson crouched in front of me, his cold gray eyes scanning my face. How long has it been since you took your suppressant? This morning, I said, but the words came out slurred. 7. Maybe 8 hours ago. End quote. And you've been on the same dose for 7 years? I nodded. That's why it's failing, Elias said. He'd moved closer now, standing just behind Grayson, his dark eyes fixed on me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. Your body's been fighting it for too long. It's finally breaking through. I can take another dose, I said desperately. I have them in my bag. I just need... No. Grayson's voice was sharp, final. You're not taking another suppressant. You don't get to make that decision for me. Yes, I do. He leaned closer, and I could see the gold flecks in his gray eyes, the hard line of his jaw. Because if you take another dose right now, in the state you're in, it could kill you. The words hit me like a slap. What? Your body's already in preheat, Dante said from behind me. His hands were still on my shoulders, grounding me, and I hated how much I needed that touch. If you flood your system with more suppressants now, your body won't know what to do. It could shut down completely. You're lying. But even as I said it, I knew they weren't. I could feel it, the wrongness in my bones, the way my body was fighting itself, trying to break free of something that had been holding it down for too long. We're not lying, Elias said quietly. And you know it. I closed my eyes, trying to block them out, trying to think through the fog in my head. But all I could feel was the heat, the burning, relentless heat that was spreading through me like wildfire. What happens if I don't take another dose? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. You go into heat, Grayson said. Fully. Probably within the next hour. And then what? Silence. I opened my eyes and looked at him. And then what? Grayson. I open. Then you'll need an alpha, Dante said softly. Or 3. The air left my lungs. No, it's not a choice, sweetheart, Dante said. And his hands tightened on my shoulders, not painful, just present. It's biology. When an omega goes into heat for the first time, especially after years of suppression, it's intense, painful, dangerous if you're alone. I've been alone my whole life. I shot back. I'll be fine. You won't, Elias said, and there was something raw in his voice, something that sounded almost like fear. You'll burn yourself out trying to fight it, and if another alpha catches your scent while you're vulnerable, we won't let that happen. Grayson cut in, his eyes locked on mine. You're staying here, with us, until it passes. Like hell I am. Kai! Grayson's hand reached out. and I flinched, but he didn't touch me. His hand hovered just above my knee, close enough that I could feel the heat of him. I know you're scared. I know you don't trust us. But right now, we're the safest option you have. You're not an option, I said, but my voice cracked. You're strangers. You've been stalking me for 3 years. You hired me under false pretenses. And now you're telling me I have to what? Let you claim me? Let you? We're not claiming you, Dante said firmly. Not unless you want us to. Not unless you're ready. But we are protecting you, Elias added, whether you like it or not. I wanted to scream at them. I wanted to run. But the heat was climbing higher now, wrapping around my ribs, squeezing the air out of my lungs. My hands were shaking, and I couldn't stop them. I don't want this, I whispered. I know, Grayson said. And for the first time I heard something soft in his voice, something that sounded almost like regret. But it's happening anyway. Dante's hands slid down my arms, slow and careful, and he pulled me back against the chair. We'll make it easier, in graded B, and we'll make it pie now, he said quietly. We'll keep you safe. We'll keep everyone else out. But you have to let us help, Kai. You have to trust us. I don't trust you. Then trust this, Elias said, and he finally moved, stepping around Grayson to crouch beside me. His dark eyes met mine, and there was something fierce in them, something that made my chest tighten. You're ours. We've known it for 3 years, and nothing is going to change that. Not your fear, not your anger, not even your hate. I do hate you, I said, and tears burned at the corners of my eyes. I blinked them back, furious at myself for the weakness. Good, Elias said, and his lips curved into the barest hint of a smile. Hate us all you want. Just don't run from us. Why not? Because, Grayson said, standing slowly, if you run, we'll follow. And we won't stop until we bring you back. The weight of his words settled over me like a brand. You can't just. We can, Dante said, and his voice was closer now, his breath warm against the back of my neck. And we will. I turned my head to look at him, and the movement brought us so close I could see the flecks of gold in his blue eyes, the faint stubble on his jaw. You're insane. His grin was slow, dangerous, devastating. Yeah, probably. And then the heat spiked, sharp and brutal, and I gasped, doubling over as the pain ripped through me. Kai, hands were on me, too many hands. Too much touch, but I couldn't push them away. I couldn't do anything except try to breathe through the agony. It's starting, Elias said, his voice tight. We need to move him, Grayson said. Now. Where? Dante asked. The penthouse. Top floor. It's private. Soundproof. No one will bother us there. Can you walk? Elias asked, his hand on my back, steady and grounding. I shook my head. I couldn't even sit up straight. Then I'll carry you, he said. And before I could protest, he was lifting me, strong arms under my knees and shoulders, pulling me against his chest like I weighed nothing. Put me down, I said weakly. Not happening, he murmured, and his voice was so close, so warm, that I felt it in my bones. The last thing I saw before the darkness took me was Grayson's face, his gray eyes burning with something I couldn't name. And the last thing I felt was Elias's heartbeat, steady and sure, against my cheek. I woke to the sound of rain. Not real rain, the soft patter of it against glass. Distant and rhythmic. My eyelids felt heavy, my body sluggish, like I was moving through water. I blinked once, twice, trying to orient myself. The ceiling above me was unfamiliar. High, dark wood beams cutting across white plaster. A chandelier hung in the center, crystal and cold. This wasn't the office. I tried to sit up, but my body refused. Every muscle ached, and the heat, God, the heat was still there, coiled low in my belly, waiting. Easy. The voice came from my left, and I turned my head to find Dante sitting in a chair beside the bed. He'd taken off his jacket. His sleeves were rolled up to his elbows, and there was something almost domestic about the way he looked. Relaxed, watchful, like he'd been sitting there for hours. Where am I? My voice came out rough. Broken. Penthouse, he said. Top floor. You passed out in the office, so we brought you here. I looked around. The room was massive, floor-to-ceiling windows on one side, showing the city skyline and the park below. A king-size bed beneath me, sheets so soft they felt like silk. Everything smelled clean and expensive, and faintly like cedar. Like him. How long was I out? 20 minutes. Maybe 30. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, and his eyes tracked over my face like he was checking for damage. How do you feel? Like I'm dying. His mouth twitched. You're not dying, but you're close to full heat. Another hour? Maybe less. I closed my eyes, trying to breathe through the panic rising in my chest. I want to go home. I... Not happening. You can't keep me here. We can, he said simply. And we are. At least until your heat breaks. That could take days. 3 to 5 usually, for a first heat after suppression. He said it so casually, like he was discussing the weather. I forced myself to sit up, even though the movement sent a fresh wave of heat rolling through me. You have no right. We have every right. Grayson's voice cut through the room. On Roundland, and I turned to see him standing in the doorway. He'd loosened his tie, undone the top button of his shirt, but he still looked every inch the CEO commanding, untouchable. You're our mate. That gives us the right to protect you. I didn't agree to be your mate. You don't have to agree, Elias said, and I hadn't even noticed him standing by the windows, half hidden in shadow. Biology doesn't ask for permission. Biology can go to hell. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, but the moment my feet hit the floor, the room spun. I grabbed the edge of the mattress, trying to steady myself. Dante was beside me in an instant, his hand on my shoulder. Stop trying to fight it. You're only making it worse. I don't care. I shoved his hand away, but the loss of contact felt wrong, like I'd just torn something vital out of myself. I'm leaving. 27. Please in Hivermos. Where? Grayson crossed his arms, blocking the doorway. You can barely stand. You think you're going to make it to the elevator? Down 47 floors? Out into a city full of alphas who will smell you the second you step outside? I'll take my chances. We won't. Elias moved away from the window, and suddenly the three of them were surrounding me. Not touching, but close enough that I could feel them. Close enough that their scents were wrapping around me like a living thing. You can hate us all you want, Elias continued, his voice low and steady. You can scream at us, fight us, tell us to go to hell, but you're not leaving this room until your heat is over. And what if I do? I looked up at him, defiant. What if I walk out that door right now? What are you going to do? Tackle me? Lock me in? If we have to. Grayson's voice was flat, emotionless. Yes, the certainty in his tone made my blood run cold. You're monsters. Probably, Dante said, and there was no humor in his voice now. But we're your monsters, and we're not letting you destroy yourself because you're too stubborn to accept help. This isn't help. This is... My voice broke. This is a cage. No. Elias crouched in front of me, his dark eyes level with mine. A cage is what you've been living in for the last 7 years. Pills that kept you numb, kept you small, kept you from becoming what you were always meant to be. This, he gestured around the room. This is freedom. Freedom, I repeated, and I laughed sharp and bitter. You call this freedom? Being locked in a room with 3 alphas I don't even know? You'll know us, Grayson said. By the time this is over, you'll know us better than anyone. I don't want to know you. Liar. Dante's voice was soft, but it hit like a punch. You're scared. I get it. But don't pretend you don't feel it. Don't pretend you don't feel the pull. I opened my mouth to deny it, but the words wouldn't come, because he was right. I did feel it. Every time one of them got close, every time their scent hit me, something inside me responded, something primal and desperate and completely out of my control. I hate this, I whispered. I know, Elias said. And his hand reached out not to grab me, but to rest lightly on my knee. The touch was careful, respectful, but it burned through the thin fabric of my pants like a brand. But it's real, and you can't run from it. Watch me. I stood, pushing past him, and made it 3 steps before the heat spiked again. This time it was worse, so much worse. My vision whited out, and I stumbled, gasping. Hands caught me, Grayson's hands, strong and sure, and he pulled me back against his chest. "Stop," he said, his voice rough in my ear. "Just stop. Let me go." But I didn't pull away. I couldn't. My body was trembling, and the only thing keeping me upright was him. "No." His arms tightened around me, not painful, just solid, grounding. "You need to understand something, Kai. We're not your enemies. We're not trying to trap you. We're trying to keep you alive. By holding me prisoner, by keeping you safe." His breath was warm against my neck, and I shivered despite the heat burning through me. There are alphas out there who would take one whiff of you right now and wouldn't care if you said no, wouldn't care if you were ready. They'd claim you, mark you, break you, and never look back. Is that what you want? Connection, and that sell 'em. We are one place exist of. "No," I whispered. "Then stay." His voice softened, just a fraction. "Stay here. Let us protect you. Let us help you through this. And when it's over, when you're clear-headed and safe if you want to leave, we won't stop you." I turned my head to look at him, and his face was so close I could see the faint scar above his eyebrow, the tension in his jaw. "You promise?" "I promise." "He's lying," Dante said from behind us, and my heart lurched. "We'll never let you go." "Not really. But we'll give you the choice to walk away, and we'll respect it, even if it kills us." "That's not comforting," I said weakly. "It's honest." Elias was standing now, watching us with those dark, unreadable eyes. "And honesty is all we can give you right now." Grayson's arms loosened, and he turned me around to face him. His gray eyes searched mine, and I saw something in them I hadn't expected: vulnerability. "Do you trust me?" "No." "Then trust this." He reached up and cupped my face in his hands, his touch careful, reverent. "We will never hurt you. Not intentionally. Not ever." "You already have," I said, and my voice broke. "You've been lying to me from the start." "We've been protecting you from the start," he corrected. "And we'll keep protecting you, even from yourself." The heat spiked again, and this time I couldn't hold back the whimper that escaped my throat. "Kai." Dante's voice was closer now. "It hurts," I gasped. "I know." Grayson's thumb brushed my cheek, and the tenderness of it broke something inside me. "But we're here. We're not leaving. And we're not letting you go through this alone. I don't have a choice, do I?" "No," Elias said quietly. "You don't." And for the first time since this nightmare started, I stopped fighting. Grayson's hands stayed on my face, anchoring me, and I realized I was leaning into his touch without meaning to. "Sit down," he said softly, "before you fall down." This time I didn't argue. I let him guide me back to the bed, and the moment I sank into the mattress, exhaustion crashed over me like a wave. My limbs felt heavy, my head foggy, and the heat, the relentless, burning heat, was everywhere. Dante appeared with a glass of water. "Drink." I took it with shaking hands and drained half of it in one go. The cool liquid did nothing to ease the fire inside me, but at least my throat didn't feel like sandpaper anymore. "Better?" Elias asked. "No. Didn't think so." He pulled a chair closer and sat, his elbows resting on his knees, his dark eyes never leaving my face. "But you will be. Eventually." "How long is eventually?" "Depends," Dante said, settling onto the edge of the bed beside me. Not too close, but close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating off him. "First heats are unpredictable, especially after years of suppression. Could be 3 days, could be 5. 5 days, I repeated, and the words felt impossible. I can't do this for 5 days." "You can," Grayson said. He was still standing, watching me with that intensity that made me feel exposed. "And you will. Because you're stronger than you think." "I don't feel strong." My voice cracked, and I hated the weakness in it. "I feel like I'm breaking." "You're not breaking," Elias said quietly. "You're just waking up." I looked at him, confused. "What?" "You've been asleep for 7 years, Kai. Buried under chemicals that told your body to shut down, to be quiet, to not exist. Now those chemicals are gone, and your body's finally remembering what it was meant to be. It's overwhelming. It's terrifying. But it's not breaking. It's becoming. 4,100 does it grow? The way he said it so certain, so calm, made something in my chest tighten. How do you know so much about this? I asked. Silence. The three of them exchanged looks again. That same silent conversation I wasn't part of. Then Grayson sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. Because we've been preparing for this for 3 years. Preparing, I repeated. You mean stalking? We mean researching. Dante corrected. We talked to specialists, doctors, other Omegas who'd been through suppression. We wanted to understand what you'd be going through when the time came. We wanted to be ready. In one calm and seen, ready to trap me, ready to help you, Elias said, and there was an edge to his voice now. Ready to make sure you didn't have to go through this alone. Ready to protect you from every alpha in this city who would have taken advantage of you the second they caught your scent. Like you're doing? We're not taking advantage of you, Grayson said sharply. We brought you here to keep you safe. You hired me under false pretenses. You've been watching me for 3 years without my knowledge. You're holding me here against my will. How is any of that keeping me safe? Because the alternative, Dante said quietly, is you collapsing on the subway, or in your apartment building, or on the street. And the first alpha who finds you won't ask if you're okay. He won't ask if you need help. He'll just take. The words sent a chill down my spine. You don't know that. Yes, we do. Elias leaned forward, his expression hard. Because we've seen it, we've stopped it. Twice. My breath caught. What? 6 months ago, Grayson said. You were walking home from work. Late. Alone. An alpha followed you for 3 blocks. I don't remember. Because we made sure you didn't have to, Dante said. Elias intercepted him before he got within 10 feet of you, convinced him to turn around and walk away. I stared at Elias, and he met my gaze evenly. You never saw me. You never knew I was there. That was the point. And the second time? My voice was barely a whisper. 2 months ago, Grayson said. Different alpha, same situation. This time it was Dante who handled it. Handled it, I repeated. What does that mean? Dante's grin was sharp and cold. It means he won't be bothering you again. My stomach dropped. You didn't kill him? No. Dante's grin faded. But I made sure he understood what would happen if he ever came near you again. I pressed my hands to my face, trying to process this. You've been following me, watching me, for 3 years. Protecting you, Elias corrected. There's a difference. Is there? I dropped my hands and looked at them. Really looked at them. 3 alphas who claimed I was theirs. 3 strangers who knew more about my life than I did. How am I supposed to trust you when you've been lying to me from the start? We haven't lied to you, Grayson said. We just haven't told you everything. That's the same thing. No, it's not. He moved closer, crouching in front of me so we were eye level. If we'd told you 3 years ago that you were our mate, what would you have done? I would have run. Exactly. You were 19, scared, on suppressants. You didn't even know what you were. If we'd pushed, we would have lost you. We made sure you were safe, and we waited for the right time. And you think now is the right time? I demanded. When I'm vulnerable? When I can barely think straight? We think now is when you need us most. Elias said. Whether you want to admit it or not, I don't need you. Then why haven't you tried to leave again? Dante asked softly. I opened my mouth to answer, but nothing came out, because he was right. I hadn't tried to leave. I'd thought about it. I'd threatened it. But I hadn't actually moved toward the door. You feel it, Dante continued, his blue eyes locked on mine. The pull, the bond. It's why your body relaxes when we're close. Why the pain eases when we touch you. Why you're still sitting here instead of running. That's not... My voice broke. That's just biology. It doesn't mean anything. Well, it means everything, Grayson said. It means we're supposed to be together. It means you're ours, and we're yours, and nothing is going to change that. I don't want to be yours. Yes, you do. Elias's voice was quiet, but it cut through me like a blade. You're just too scared to admit it. Tears burned at the corners of my eyes, and I blinked them back furiously. You don't know anything about me. We know you grew up in Brooklyn, Elias said. We know your mom died when you were 21. We know you put yourself through college working 3 jobs. We know you're scared of thunderstorms, and you drink your coffee black, and you read on the subway even though it makes you miss your stop half the time. We know you've been alone for too long, Dante added. And we know you don't have to be anymore. We know you're exhausted, Grayson said, his hand reaching out to brush a strand of hair from my forehead. And we know you're scared. But we're here, and we're not going anywhere. The tears spilled over. Hot and humiliating, and I couldn't stop them. I hate you, I whispered. I know, Grayson said, and his thumb caught one of the tears, wiping it away with a tenderness that broke me. But you'll forgive us. No, I won't. Yes, you will. Dante's hand found mine, his fingers lacing through mine, and the touch sent warmth flooding through me. Because deep down, you already know the truth. What truth? Elias leaned closer, his voice low and certain. That you've been looking for us just as long as we've been looking for you. And we have macked. His words hung in the air between us, impossible and true all at once. That's not. I pulled my hand from Dante's grip, but the loss of contact felt like tearing off a bandage from raw skin. You're twisting this. You're making it sound like I wanted this. Like I asked for this. We're not saying you asked for it, Grayson said, still crouched in front of me. We're saying you felt it. I didn't feel anything. Liar. Elias's voice was soft, but it cut deep. You felt it every time you walked past our building, every time you saw our names in the news, every time something in your gut told you to pay attention, even when you didn't know why. My breath hitched. That's just coincidence, is it? Dante asked. He'd moved closer again, his presence warm and solid beside me. Then why did you apply for this job, Kai? Out of hundreds of companies in Manhattan, why Sterling Wolf Industries? Because the pay was good. Because something told you to, Grayson finished. Something you couldn't explain, something that pulled you here. No. I shook my head, but the movement made the room tilt. No. I applied because I needed a job. That's all. You had 3 other offers, Elias said. All with comparable pay, better benefits, shorter commutes, but you chose us. I stared at him. How do you? Because we've been watching, he said simply, and because we know you better than you think. That's not romantic, I snapped. Maybe. Dante's hand found my shoulder, and I flinched at the contact not because it hurt, but because it felt too good. But it's also true. And you can be angry about it. You can hate us for it. But you can't deny that you're here for a reason. The reason is you hired me under false pretenses. The reason, Grayson said, his gray eyes burning into mine, is that you were always meant to be here. With us. Whether you believe in fate or not. I don't believe in fate. Then what do you believe in? His hand reached out, hovering just above my knee, not touching but close enough that I could feel the heat of him. Coincidence? Random chance? You really think it's an accident that out of 8 million people in this city, we found you? Yes, I said, but my voice wavered. You're lying to yourself, Elias said. He stood and moved to the windows, looking out at the rain-slick city below. And you know it. The heat spiked again, sharper this time, and I doubled over with a gasp. Pain lanced through my abdomen, my chest, spreading outward like fire. Kai, Grayson's hands were on me instantly, steadying me. It's getting worse, Dante said, and there was tension in his voice now. He needs to nest. I don't. I gasped. I don't know how. I will help you, Grayson said. He pulled me upright, his hands firm but gentle. Come on. We need to move you to the nest room. Nest room? I repeated, dazed. We prepared it, Dante said. 3 years ago. Just in case. Of course they did. Elias was already moving, opening a door I hadn't noticed before. Through it, I could see another room smaller, dimmer, filled with soft fabrics and pillows. The scent hit me immediately. Cedar and smoke, and something darker, earthier. It smelled like safety, like home. I hated that it did. I can walk, I said, trying to stand, but my legs gave out. Grayson caught me before I fell. No, you can't. This time, he was the one who lifted me effortlessly, like I weighed nothing, and carried me through the doorway into the nest room. The moment I crossed the threshold, something in my chest loosened. The pain didn't disappear, but it dulled, just slightly, as if the room itself was absorbing some of it. He set me down in the center of the nest, a massive pile of blankets, pillows, and soft fabrics arranged in a circle. It should have looked ridiculous. Instead, it looked perfect. This is insane, I whispered. This is necessary, Grayson said. He knelt beside me, his hand brushing my hair back from my forehead. Your instincts are going to kick in soon. You're going to want to burrow, to hide, to surround yourself with things that smell like safety. We wanted to make sure you had that. Things that smell like you, I said. Because I could smell it now, their scents woven into every fabric, every pillow. Yes. Why? Because it'll help, Dante said from the doorway. Because when the heat really hits, you're going to need something familiar. Something that tells your hindbrain you're safe. I don't want to need you. Too late, Elias said. He stepped into the room, carrying a tray with water bottles and what looked like protein bars. You already do. I wanted to argue, but another wave of heat rolled through me, and I bit down on my lip to keep from crying out. Breathe, Grayson said, his hand on my back, rubbing slow circles. Just breathe through it. It hurts, I gasped. I know, but it'll pass. And we're here. We're right here. Why? The question tore out of me, desperate and broken. Why do you even want me? You don't know me. You don't? We know you, Dante said, and he was kneeling on the other side of the nest now, his blue eyes soft. We know you're stubborn and scared, and you've been fighting alone for so long you've forgotten what it's like to let someone help you. We know you drink terrible coffee, and you're too proud to ask for directions even when you're lost. We know you cry at sad movies but pretend you don't. We know. Stop. My voice cracked. Just stop. We know you're ours, Elias finished, and he was closer now too, the three of them surrounding me. And we're not letting you go. Even if I want you to? Even then, Grayson said, because sometimes the things we want and the things we need are different. And right now, you need us. Whether you admit it or not, I looked at them, really looked at them. 3 alphas who'd upended my entire life in the span of a few hours. 3 strangers who claimed to know me better than I knew myself. And the worst part? The absolute worst part? I was starting to believe them. I don't forgive you, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. We know, Grayson said, and I still hate you. We know that too, Dante said, his grin returning. But my voice broke. I can't do this alone. I think you don't have to, Elias said. His hand found mine, and this time I didn't pull away. We're here, and we're not going anywhere. The heat spiked again, brutal and unforgiving, and this time I couldn't hold back the whimper that escaped. It's starting, Dante said quietly. How long? Grayson asked. Minutes. Maybe less. Grayson's hand cupped my face, tilting it up so I had to look at him. Listen to me, Kai. What's about to happen is going to be intense. You're going to feel things you've never felt before. You're going to want things you don't understand. But we're going to be here the entire time. We're not going to touch you unless you ask. We're not going to claim you unless you want us to. Do you understand? I nodded, because I couldn't speak. Good. His thumb brushed my cheek. Now let go. Stop fighting, and let us take care of you. I don't know how, I whispered. Yes, you do, he said. You've always known. You just forgot. And then the heat consumed me completely. The world narrowed to sensation. Heat. Burning. Everywhere. My skin felt too tight, my clothes too rough. Every breath was fire in my lungs, every heartbeat a drum that echoed through my entire body. I tried to focus on something, anything, but all I could feel was the desperate, clawing need rising inside me like a tide I couldn't fight. Kai. Grayson's voice cut through the haze, steady and grounding. Look at me. I forced my eyes open, but his face was blurred at the edges. I can't. I can't. Yes, you can. His hands were on my shoulders, firm and cool against my burning skin. Breathe. In through your nose, out through your mouth. I tried. I failed. The air wouldn't come. I mean, he's panicking, Dante said from somewhere to my left. We need to calm him down before... I know, Grayson snapped. Then, softer to me. Kai, listen to my voice. Focus on me. Nothing else. Just me. I tried. God, I tried. But the heat was everywhere, pulling me under, drowning me. His scent, Elias said, and his voice was strained. It's... I know, Grayson said again. Don't. Not yet, Grayson. Not yet. I didn't understand what they were talking about. I didn't understand anything except the burning and the need and the way my body was screaming for something I couldn't name. Off! I gasped, pulling at my shirt. I need it off. Okay, Dante said, and his hands were there, helping me pull the fabric over my head. The moment it was gone, I felt like I could breathe again, but it wasn't enough. Nothing was enough. The rest, I said, and I didn't recognize my own voice. It was desperate, broken. Please. Kai! Grayson's hands caught mine before I could reach for my belt. Stop. Look at me. I looked up and his gray eyes were darker now, storm cloud dark, but his expression was controlled, careful. If we do this, he said slowly, if we help you through this, you need to understand what it means. I don't care, I gasped. I don't care about anything except you will care, he said. Tomorrow, when the heat breaks and you're thinking clearly again, you'll care. And I need to know that you won't hate us for it. I already hate you. His mouth twitched. Fair enough, but I need to know. You won't hate yourself. The words cut through the fog just enough for me to understand. You're asking for permission. Yes. Even though I gasped as another wave hit. Even though I can barely think straight, especially because of that, Elias said. He was closer now, sitting on the edge of the nest, his dark eyes locked on mine. We won't touch you, not like that unless you're sure. Heat or no heat. But I need... My voice broke. I need something. Please. I can't do this alone. You're not alone, Dante said. He was on my other side now, close but not touching. We're here. We'll help you. But we're not going to claim you. Not tonight. Not like this. Then what? Comfort, Grayson said. Touch. Presence. Whatever you need that doesn't cross that line. I stared at him, trying to process, but the heat was climbing again. I don't understand. You will, he said. But right now, I need you to tell me what you need. Use your words, Kai. I gasped. I need you closer. I need your scent. Okay, he said softly. Okay. We can do that. He moved, and suddenly he was behind me, pulling me back against his chest, his arms wrapped around me, solid and grounding, and the moment his scent surrounded me, cedar and something darker, richer. The panic eased, just slightly, just enough. Better, he murmured against my ear. I nodded, because I couldn't speak. Good. Now breathe. I did. In through my nose, out through my mouth. His scent filled my lungs, and the burning dulled to something almost bearable. Dante, Grayson said, left side, Elias right. They moved without question, settling on either side of me in the nest. Dante's hand found mine, his fingers lacing through mine, and Elias's palm pressed against my back, warm and steady. And suddenly I was surrounded by them, their scents, their warmth, their presence, and the heat didn't disappear, but it changed. It softened. It became something I could survive instead of something that was going to kill me. That's it, Grayson said. his voice a low rumble against my back. Just let us hold you, that's all. Nothing more. It's not enough, I whispered. I know, but it's what we can give you right now. Why? The question tore out of me. Why won't you just— Because you'll regret it, Elias said, his hand moving in slow circles on my back. Because when this is over, you'll look at us and wonder if we took advantage of you. And we're not willing to risk that, even if it means you suffer, Dante added, and there was something tight in his voice. Even if it means we suffer, we're not crossing that line until you're ready. I am ready. No, Grayson said firmly. You're in heat. There's a difference. I wanted to argue. I wanted to scream at them, to tell them they were wrong. But deep down, in the part of me that wasn't consumed by fire, I knew they were right. I hate this, I whispered. We know, Dante said, and his thumb stroked over my knuckles. But you're doing so well. You're so strong, Kai. Stronger than you know. I don't feel strong. You are, Elias said. You're fighting a biological imperative that's telling you to submit, to give in, to let us claim you. And you're still holding on to yourself. That takes strength. It takes stubbornness, I said weakly. Same thing, Grayson murmured, and I felt his lips brush against my hair, so brief, so careful, it might have been an accident. The heat spiked again, and I cried out, curling into myself. I've got you, Grayson said, his arms tightening. We've got you. Just ride it out. It's not passing, I gasped. It's getting worse. I know. But you're not alone. You're safe. We're here. End quote. Tell me something, I said desperately, trying to focus on anything except the fire in my veins. Tell me something real. Something that's not about this. About us. Silence for a moment. Then Elias spoke, his voice low and rough. I was 8 years old when I realized I was an alpha. My father locked me in the basement for 3 days to teach me control. Said alphas who couldn't control themselves were nothing but animals. My breath caught. Elias, I learned control, he continued. I learned how to bury everything, how to be cold, how to never let anyone see what I was feeling. And I've been that way for 20 years. His hand pressed harder against my back. Until we caught your scent, and for the first time in my life, I didn't want to be cold anymore. The confession hung in the air, raw and honest. My turn, Dante said, and his voice was lighter, but there was an edge to it. Control. But none of it ever mattered. Not really. Not until you. And me? I whispered, looking up at Grayson. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, I've spent my entire life building walls, keeping people out, staying in control, and in 30 seconds you tore every single one of them down. Just by sitting on my desk like you owned it. Despite everything, despite the heat, despite the pain, despite the fear, I laughed. It came out broken and breathless. That's what you remember? I asked. Me sitting on your desk? That's what I'll always remember, he said. The moment I knew everything was about to change. The moment stretched between us. Fragile and trembling. Everything changed. I repeated softly, and the weight of those words settled over me like a blanket. For all of us. Yes, Grayson said, and I felt him shift behind me, his chest rising and falling against my back in a rhythm that was starting to match my own. The heat was still there. God, it was everywhere but wrapped in their arms, surrounded by their scents. It felt less like dying and more like transformation. Like something in me was breaking apart and rebuilding itself into something new. Something that terrified me. I need to know something, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. And I need you to be honest. Always, Elias said. If I hadn't walked into that office today, if I'd never applied for this job, would you have kept watching? Would you have waited forever? Silence. Then Grayson spoke, and his voice was rough. Yes, even if it killed us, Dante added. Even if we never got to touch you, never got to tell you, we would have kept you safe. That was always the priority. Why? The question broke out of me. Why me? Out of everyone in this city, why am I worth that? Because you're ours, Elias said simply. Because the moment we caught your scent, everything else stopped mattering. Money, power, control, all of it became background noise. You became the only thing that was real. That's insane. Probably, Grayson said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. But it's true. Another wave of heat rolled through me, and I gasped, my fingers digging into Dante's hand. He didn't flinch. He just held on tighter. How much longer? I managed. Hours, Grayson said. Maybe until morning. First heats after suppression can last anywhere from 12 to 48 hours for the initial wave. I can't do this for 48 hours. You can, he said. And you will. Because you're not doing it alone. I feel alone, I whispered. Even with you here, even with... My voice cracked. I feel like I'm disappearing. You're not disappearing, Elias said, and his hand moved from my back to cup the side of my face, turning me gently to look at him. His dark eyes were intense, burning. You're becoming? There's a difference. It doesn't feel different. I know. His thumb brushed my cheekbone, and the touch sent sparks racing under my skin. But you're still here, still fighting, still you. Am I? The question came out broken. Because I don't feel like me. I feel like something is taking over. Like I'm losing control. You are losing control, Grayson said bluntly. Your body's taking over. Your instincts. Your hindbrain. Everything you've been suppressing for 7 years is finally breaking free. And yes, it's terrifying. But it's not wrong. It's not bad. It's just you. The real you. What if I don't like the real me? Then we'll like her enough for both of us, Dante said. And when I turned to look at him, his blue eyes were soft. Him. We'll like him enough. The correction made something in my chest tighten. You don't even know me. I mean, we know enough, he said. We know you're brave. We know you're stubborn as hell. We know you've been fighting alone for so long you've forgotten what it's like to have someone in your corner. And we know, his voice dropped. We know you're scared of letting us in, because if you let us in, we might leave. And you've already lost too much. The words hit like a fist to the stomach. My mom, I whispered. We know, Elias said gently. Cancer. 3 years ago. You were 21. You took a semester off school to take care of her. You held her hand when she died. Tears burned behind my eyes. How do you... Because we needed to understand you, Grayson said. We needed to know what shaped you, what hurt you, what made you strong, so you could use it against me, so we could protect you from it, he corrected. So we'd know what ghosts you're carrying, what wounds haven't healed. That's not... My voice broke. You had no right. You're right, he said. We didn't, but we did it anyway. Because the alternative was walking away, and we couldn't do that. We neither hin mysa right percent myself. Why not? I demanded, anger flaring hot beneath the heat. Why couldn't you just leave me alone? Why couldn't you let me live my life? Because this is your life, Dante said. This. Us. Whether you're ready to accept it or not. I'm not, I said. I'm not ready. I'm not. The heat spiked so suddenly, so brutally, that I doubled over with a cry. Pain lanced through me, crease, white-hot and unforgiving. And for a moment I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't do anything except feel. Kai. Grayson's arms tightened around me, and I felt him shift, pulling me fully into his lap. Breathe. Come on. Breathe. I can't. Yes, you can. His hand pressed against my chest, over my heart. Feel that? That's your heartbeat. Focus on it. Nothing else. Just that. I tried. God, I tried. But the pain was everywhere, consuming everything. It's peaking, Elias said, and there was tension in his voice. He needs... I know what he needs, Grayson said sharply. And we're not doing it. Not like this. Grayson, if we don't. We're not claiming him in the middle of a heat wave when he can barely consent. Grayson snapped. End of discussion. Then what do we do? Dante asked, And for the first time, I heard fear in his voice. We hold him, Grayson said. We stay with him. We remind him he's not alone, and we wait for it to pass. And if it doesn't pass, it will. You don't know that. I have to believe it, Grayson said, and his voice cracked just slightly. Because the alternative is unacceptable. Through the haze of pain, I felt something shift. Something in his tone, in the way he was holding me like I was something precious, something fragile, something he couldn't afford to break. Grayson, I whispered. I'm here. I'm scared. I know. His lips pressed against my temple, gentle and reverent. But you're safe. I promise. You're safe. Don't leave. Never, he said. I'm not going anywhere. None of us are. Promise? I promise. The pain crested, and I cried out, my body arching against his, but his arms stayed locked around me, steady and unbreakable. And through it all, I could hear his voice low and constant, and sure telling me I was safe, I was strong, I was his. And slowly, so slowly, the pain began to ebb. Not disappear, just recede. Like a tide pulling back from the shore, I slumped against him, exhausted, trembling, barely able to hold my eyes open. Is it over? I whispered. The worst of it, Elias said. He was still beside me, his hand on my back. For now, it'll come back, Dante added. In waves, but each one will be easier than the last. I don't think I can do this again. You can, Grayson said. And you will. Because you're stronger than you think. And because we're here, and we're not letting you fall. If you went to do, if you cross it all, I turned my head to look up at him, and his face was closer than I expected. Close enough that I could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the tension in his jaw, the way he was holding himself together by sheer force of will. You're tired, I said. So are you. But you're not in heat. No. But I'm watching the person I've been waiting 3 years for suffer, and I can't do anything to stop it. So yes, I'm tired. The honesty in his voice broke something inside me. I'm sorry, I whispered. Don't. His hand cupped my face, tilting it up so I had to meet his eyes. Don't apologize for this. Don't apologize for being what you are. Don't apologize for existing. But, no buts. His thumb brushed across my lips, silencing me. You're perfect exactly as you are, heat and all. And before I could stop myself, before I could think about what I was doing, I turned my face into his palm and pressed a kiss there. His breath caught. So did mine. Kai, he said, and my name sounded like a prayer. The kiss lingered on his palm. Small, tentative, but undeniably real. Grayson went completely still. So did Dante and Elias. The entire room seemed to hold its breath. Kai, Grayson said again, softer this time. What was that? I pulled back slightly, my heart hammering. I don't know. I swallowed hard. Thank you. For waiting. For giving me a choice when you didn't have to. We'll always give you a choice, he said, and his voice was raw. Always. Even if it means you suffer? Even then. I looked at him, really, looked at him. At the exhaustion in his eyes, the tension in his shoulders, the way he was holding himself together for me. Then I looked at Dante, whose blue eyes were soft and worried, and Elias, whose dark gaze was steady and unwavering. 3 alphas who could have taken everything, who could have claimed me the moment I walked through that door. But they hadn't. They'd waited. They'd protected me. They'd given me space to choose, even when every instinct they had was probably screaming at them to do otherwise. I'm still angry, I said quietly. About the stalking. About the lies. About all of it. We know, Elias said, and I'm not ready to be claimed, to be bonded. Not yet. We know that too, Dante said. But I took a shaky breath. I don't want to do this alone anymore. And I think, maybe I don't have to. Grayson's hand trembled against my face. What are you saying? I'm saying, I looked between the 3 of them. I'm saying I want to try. I want to see if we could be real. Not because of biology, not because of fate, but because I choose it. You're sure? Elias asked, and there was something vulnerable in his voice I hadn't heard before. Because once you say yes, once you let us in, we're not letting go. I know. And I did. I could see it in their eyes, feel it in the way they touched me. These three men wouldn't love halfway. They wouldn't hold back. If I said yes, I was saying yes to everything. The intensity, the devotion, the terrifying certainty that I would never be alone again. And maybe, just maybe, that wasn't such a bad thing. I'm sure, I whispered. The words had barely left my lips when Dante laughed, a bright, breathless sound that was half relief, half joy. Thank God, he said, and his hand squeezed mine. Because I don't think I could have waited much longer. We would have waited forever, Elias said, but there was a smile tugging at his lips. But I'm glad we don't have to. Grayson didn't say anything. He just pulled me closer, burying his face in my hair, and I felt him exhale long and shaky, like he'd been holding his breath for 3 years. You're ours, he murmured against my temple. Finally, you're ours. And you're mine, I said, and the words felt right. True. All three of you. All three of us, he confirmed. For as long as you'll have us. That might be a while. Good, Dante said, grinning, because we're not going anywhere. Another wave of heat rolled through me, but this time it didn't feel like drowning. It felt like warmth, like safety, like coming home to a place I hadn't known existed. It's still going to hurt, Elias warned gently. The heat, it'll keep coming in waves for at least another day. I know. I settled back against Grayson's chest, letting his arms wrap around me. But I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. Why not? Dante asked. I looked at him, then at Elias, then tilted my head back to meet Grayson's eyes. Because I'm not alone. But, hours later, the heat did come back in waves, just like they'd said, but each time, it was easier. Not because the pain was less, but because I wasn't fighting it anymore. I wasn't fighting them. They stayed with me through all of it. Taking turns, keeping watch, bringing me water, talking me through the worst moments. They never pushed, never demanded. They just stayed. And slowly, over hours that blurred together, something shifted. The walls I'd built, the ones that kept everyone out, kept me safe, kept me alone, started to crumble. Not all at once, but piece by piece, until I could finally breathe without feeling like I was suffocating under the weight of my own fear. By the time the first rays of dawn crept through the windows, the heat had finally broken. My body was exhausted, my mind foggy, but for the first time in 7 years I felt clear. How do you feel? Grayson asked. He was still behind me, still holding me, like he hadn't moved all night. Tired, I said. Sore. But I paused, searching for the right word. Free. I feel free. Good. His arms tightened around me. That's how you should feel. What happens now? I asked. Now, Dante said, stretching beside me. You rest. You recover. And when you're ready, we figure out what this looks like. Together. No pressure, Elias added. No expectations. Just us. Learning each other. And if I mess it up? I asked. If I'm too stubborn, or too scared, or too, then we'll work through it, Grayson said simply. That's what you do when you love someone. You work through it. The word love hung in the air, and I turned to look at him. You love me? Yes. No hesitation. No doubt. I've loved you since the moment I saw you sitting on my desk, like you owned the world. Only second. Don't round a day in second. In 20 round a day, tepoed. I love you too, Dante said, his grin softer now. Even though you're stubborn as hell. And I love you, Elias added quietly. Even though you drive me insane. Tears pricked at my eyes, but this time they weren't from pain or fear. They were from something else. Something warm and terrifying, and impossibly right. I don't know if I love you yet, I said honestly, but I think. Then we'll give you time, Grayson said. All the time you need. And when you're ready, Dante added, we'll be here. Always. Elias finished. I looked at the three of them, these three alphas who'd turned my entire world upside down in the span of 24 hours, who'd been watching me, protecting me, waiting for me for 3 years. And for the first time, I didn't feel trapped. I felt found. Okay, I said softly. Okay, let's try. Grayson pressed a kiss to my temple. Dante squeezed my hand. Elias's thumb traced circles on my back, and wrapped in their arms, surrounded by their warmth, I finally let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, I'd found where I belonged. I walked into Grayson's office, our office now, technically, since I still work there, and stopped in the doorway. All three of them were in a meeting, leaning over a set of blueprints spread across the desk. The same desk I'd sat on that first day. Dante noticed me first and grinned. Hey, sweetheart, we're almost done. Take your time, I said, leaning against the doorframe. Grayson looked up, and the moment our eyes met, I saw it. That same intensity from the first day, that same certainty, except now I felt it too. Come here, he said. I walked over, and he pulled me into his lap right there, in the middle of the meeting, in front of Elias and Dante, and the blueprints and everything. Hi, I said. Hi, he said back, and he kissed me. Soft, claiming. Sure. When he pulled back, I was smiling. I love you, I said. The first time I'd said it to any of them. His eyes widened. So did Dante's and Elias's. Say it again, Grayson whispered. I love you, I repeated. For a moment, none of them moved. Then Dante let out a whoop and pulled me into a kiss that left me breathless. Elias was next, his kiss slow and devastating. And Grayson just held my face in his hands and smiled. Took you long enough, he said. I'm stubborn, I said. You knew that when you hired me. Best decision I ever made, he said. He talked a day down, and as I sat there, surrounded by three alphas who loved me, who'd waited for me, protected me, chosen me, I finally understood. I wasn't sitting on a throne that belonged to three kings. I was sitting on a throne that belonged to all of us, together. Thank you for reading. If this story touched you, let me know. Should Kai have chosen differently? What would you have done? Subscribe for more.